Here today is probably because we share some common ideas. I'm not sure, but that was actually our initial thinking with Patrick when we decided to launch this workshop. One is that despite the fact that we have new extraordinary tactile device, multi-touch screen, there's still maybe something to do with print. So the fact that print is not dead. And we looked, I mean, in the academic community, what were the different research fields that were dealing with this, and we found that there were actually groups of researchers that were approaching this question of print in rather diverse manner. And some were actually doing digitally enhanced documents. I mean, how can you have a document on which you add additional things, by which you can interact, putting additional content, grabbing annotations, this type of thing? Or how can you make like augmented prints, basically? Others were more interested in how actually paper could be used as an interface, as an alternative interface to computers, not necessarily to do things that printed documents were doing, but more to address, I mean, domains where typically printed documents were not used at all, like controlling music systems, make sorting elements, so like an alternative to the mouse and screen interface. And then there were also some researchers that were trying to reproduce the quality and the affordance of paper with special interfaces that would be like paper-like interfaces. And these again, I mean, these ones, they were again a very different community. And so we thought maybe it's interesting to have these people coming in one place, and that's how we decided to try to launch this first workshop, this paper computing workshop. Well, we were nicely surprised to see that indeed, actually, there were people in the world that thought this thematic as being relevant, so basically that's the first edition this year. And we'll see whether that's the beginning of something, or whether this is just a one-time event. We don't know yet. I think we'll get better ideas throughout the day. But we're very excited that actually we have together here people coming from different backgrounds to try to think together about this domain, which we can call paper computing. Okay, a couple of words about the program. The program is organized around 6 long talks, which are 20 minutes talks plus 5 minutes question, and 11 short talks, just like basically spotlight talks, 5 minutes talk, but which are also associated with posters that are started to be hanged outside the room. So there's a poster session during the afternoon where basically you will have the opportunity to talk about with the author of the short talks if you want to know more about what they were doing. We decided to actually alternate the short talk and the long talk, not to do like a poster spotlight session, but to have typically in the morning you'll have 2 long talks and then a couple of short talks. And this again in each of the sessions. There's not really a very strict thematic for the session. I mean, the session you'll see are dealing with neighbor subjects, but I mean, as everything fits in one day, we thought that was actually okay to do it this way. A couple of statistics about the workshop. It's still, I mean, here I'm not talking about the attendance, but actually the paper. It's still a largely European workshop, and also because we're in Copenhagen, so we have like 76% of us which come from Europe. But I mean, we're very happy to have people from Asia and from the US and Canada, which also actually made it. So it's this is encouraging, and but it's the beginning of something. Coming back to the theme, we actually thought were representative of that community. When we see back the type of paper we got, we have something about half of the paper that in a way or another deal with digitally enhancing paper. And then more or less the rest deal with either paper-based interface, paper-like interface, or there's a couple of other papers, we're not sure really how to classify them. But so that means we were not completely wrong, I mean, basically in the fact that, I mean, these different trends, they are, I mean, representative of this emerging field. And so you'll see, I mean, in the presentation, really these different approach alternating, and sometimes they are a bit combined also. That's something we could discuss with them. We thought that, at least for this first edition, PaperComp proceeding had to be a bit special. I mean, it's a bit, I mean, when you do proceedings, you always think, okay, should we do it with on the USB key? Should we do printed proceedings? Well, as we were dealing with a workshop which was about paper interfaces, we said, okay, can we try that the proceedings themselves have a bit of an experimental taste? So the idea that you will see, I mean, on the printed proceedings that you have in hand, is that there are two things under each page. First, there's a URL, which is a short URL which of the type doc.hn/and a 4-letter number. And then there is a QR code, which actually is just encoding this address. These two link to a system which is called bootstrapping, and that will enable any one of us to actually add to each of the page of the proceedings some comments and notes, some links, some image, some videos. So the idea is that we can enrich this proceeding during the workshop. We'll feel whether this is something appropriate or not. We're not sure yet. We will certainly enrich the proceeding after the workshop with additional links. We will record in videos each of the talk, and so please tell us, I mean, if it's okay for you or not that we actually upload these videos on YouTube and that we link it with your papers. If you don't wish that we do that, you come to see me and you say, well, no, I'd rather not having that uploaded. But for those who are happy with that, that's a way of actually linking two things which are traditionally very diverse, I mean, the written paper and the presentation. In the sense that typically when you're an academic, you find a paper, you may discover it by the way it's written, but if you can listen to the author explaining it, it's sometimes very, very complimentary. So for those who are okay with this, we'd like to upload, I mean, the video and associate with their papers, so that people, not only for us, but also for people that discover the proceedings, they can have like an understanding of themselves. Okay, so how can you use that system? You have to create an account on the bookstrapping.com website. This is still like a bit experimental, a bit buggy, so be kind on this. And basically that's the only thing you need to do, then you can start posting. But don't hesitate to ask for help to the EPFL PhD students which are here to me. If you're stuck, if it doesn't work for a reason or another, it's basically I'm releasing it as an experiment for this first edition, and we'll try to see whether that was like a good idea or just a failed attempt, basically this afternoon. Okay. One more thing, you can download the proceedings on papercomp.org, on the program section. If you want to use also QR code readers to augment and to see the type of augmentation there are on the proceedings, you can also find QR code readers adapted to your phone from this address. And basically, well, enjoy the day, and we really look forward for a very interesting and intense day on PaperComp. Thank you very much. We're slightly ahead of schedule, but which is fine, so I suggest we move forward unless some of you have questions.
Are there any PowerPoints?
Okay, so we found one there, and I'm not sure that's an additional one. Yeah, but we missed like multiple. So that's maybe something we can check. Do you know if we can find additional?
I think I can do that.
Okay.
Extension box.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So we'll try to come up with this. There's a lunch break at 12 with lunch downstairs, and we have a couple of coffee breaks you see on the program. I think most of the speakers are here, but there's maybe a couple of short talks I mean, for which I have not seen the offer yet. So there may be small change in the schedule of the program, but apart from these, it should go smoothly. Anything else?
Anybody need anything else?
Okay, so we may as well start with the first long talk, which is Genta Suzuki. Well, you're not in a hurry. We can take the time. And